Imagine turning your back for just 10 seconds, only to find your toddler quietly licking the living room wall, or chewing on a rusty set of keys, or eating a handful of potting soil. For parents, watching a child compulsively consume non-foods is terrifying. A pediatrician will usually evaluate this by looking for an iron deficiency or testing for a sensory processing disorder. Traditional Chinese medicine, however, views this behavior through a completely different biological and emotional lens. In TCM, a child licking a window or eating dirt is engaging in an unconscious, desperate search for qi, or vital energy. They are using their mouth to hunt for the physical density and emotional grounding they currently lack. To resolve this oral fixation, we have to look past the symptoms at the lips and decode the invisible energy imbalances buried deep within the child's internal organs. In this animated diagram of the body's energy centers, the spleen sits right in the middle. TCM considers this glowing amber region the earth element. It governs appetite, manages physical growth, and anchors a child's developing mind. When a child's spleen qi is weak, that internal anchor fails. The child feels disconnected. Their body attempts to artificially stabilize itself by seeking earth-like textures, craving the heavy density of mud, chalk, or plaster to simulate the missing internal gravity. This weakened state is often complicated by what TCM calls excess dampness. If the digestive system is struggling to process nutrients, it generates thick, cloudy, slow-moving masses that clog the body's internal pathways. This dampness manifests physically. A child dealing with this blockage might have puffy eyelids, a thick coating on their tongue, or a general sense of sluggishness and brain fog. All of this internal congestion scrambles their sense of taste. Normal, nutritious food becomes entirely unappealing, while the texture of a painted wall or a metallic coin suddenly registers to the brain as appetizing. That urge to scrape teeth against the drywall is a misdirected biological instinct. The child is simply trying to stimulate a heavy, sluggish, damp digestive engine. Sometimes the deficit runs deeper than digestion. If a child lacks deep structural stamina, what TCM calls kidney energy, they may feel intensely fragile. Licking a heavy, solid surface becomes an instinctive way of downloading density and permanence. There is also the body's boundary-setting system, governed by the lungs. The lungs dictate what is allowed inside the body and what must stay out. When this awareness fails, the mouth becomes an ungoverned gate, and the child explores everything orally. Beyond the physical organs, we have to look at the emotional void. In traditional Chinese psychology, the mouth and lips serve as a direct, visible gauge of a child's internal emotional security. If a child experiences overwhelming external stimulation, inconsistent daily routines, or an undercurrent of anxiety, they lose their sense of emotional containment. In response, they turn their mouth into a centralized hub for self-soothing. Licking the side of a couch is driven by the same impulse as compulsively sucking a thumb, biting their nails, or chewing constantly on a toy. They are all desperation tactics to manage overwhelming input. Whether the root cause is a weak digestive organ or a lack of emotional containment, the behavior serves one explicit purpose. The child is relying on a primitive coping mechanism to hold themselves together. The solution requires actively warming up the digestion and physically grounding the child's energy, which eliminates the underlying craving entirely. As you can see in this layout, building a strong spleen starts with warm, easily digestible foods. A steady rotation of rice, dal, sambar, morning porridges, and high-quality ghee provides the exact thermal energy the digestive tract needs to stabilize. At the same time, you must stop feeding the blockage. This means completely eliminating damp-producing foods from their diet, specifically cold milk, yogurt before bed, and sugary ice cream. Along with diet, you can use targeted acupressure as a mechanical tool to physically pull a child's restless, floating energy back down to earth. This diagram highlights points on the lower leg. Massaging SP6 on the inner calf provides digestive grounding. Moving up, ST36 below the kneecap strengthens spleen energy. Shifting to the bottom of the foot, pressing KD1 anchors frantic sensory-seeking behavior. Stimulating these specific points signals the nervous system to calm down, forcing the child's scattered, anxious energy to settle back into their physical body. The final requirement is emotional containment. A child with an earth deficiency requires absolute predictability. Give them rigid daily schedules, offer frequent, gentle physical touch, and ensure your signals as a caregiver are completely stable. Since the habit of licking walls won't vanish on day one, provide safe alternatives that satisfy the spleen's need for oral grounding. Offer them chewy foods or warm, mild herbal teas when you notice the urge returning. When you combine warm digestion, physical acupressure, and firm emotional boundaries, the mouth no longer needs to seek out the nearest wall for comfort. The child stops searching for an external anchor because they finally feel at home in their own body.